I'm gonna type
I
in
don't see it either.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it is. We are now. We are now. Those people miss all those good gems, but our Twitch community. Our Twitch community is maybe in there. Yeah, Twitch. This was
Yeah.
just for you, Twitch. It's because that's how much we like Twitch. You get your own little extra show in the beginning, but yeah, I mean, we'll just go over it real quick. Tom Crown, Arcane Bear, Altcoin Daily, Ben. We're gonna go into some great topics. Thanks for the heads up there, Altcoin, and we're gonna talk about Coinbase opening up a new NFT marketplace. Now, this is huge. Coinbase has over 50 million users. Right now, OpenSea only has about 400,000 active addresses. So if we just get 1% of these people to sign up, we're going to see a huge explosion in the number of wallets that are holding NFTs. This is really, really big. Now, Ben, I know, you've launched, as far as I know, more NFTs than anyone on this panel. Can you see Coinbase being bigger than OpenSea one day, or is OpenSea just so far ahead as far as being out, for years?
I think now. Look, I'm not a Marvel nerd or anything like that, but I do believe that there's a scene in the movie, one of the Avengers movies, where Thanos says, "It is inevitable." He snaps his fingers. Maybe is that a line for the movie? It is inevitable. Is that
Yeah,
right?
I think he says, "I am inevitable," but close enough. It is inevitable.
There you go. Okay, Coinbase taking over OpenSea at this point is now inevitable. It is going to happen. You have to understand how many people use Coinbase, and you painted the picture pretty well with the number of users. If only 1% were to use the NFT marketplace, it would moon. And I can tell you that there is this thing with Coinbase for beginners to where if it's not on Coinbase, they're not using it, they're not doing it. They don't know how to stake anywhere, but if they can hold coins on Coinbase and stake them, then they'll do that. NFTs are going to be the exact same way. So, because trust me, I just talked to somebody last week, a person who's in crypto, that I told him, hey, I'll send you an NFT. And he said, where do I even put that? Can I do it on Coinbase? I was like, no. He's like, I don't even know. And this is someone who you would think would be beyond that level. And I've talked to several people who have been in crypto for months and months and months, and you would think they're beyond that level. But there is a learning curve beyond Coinbase that if people are making money, they don't care to extend above. And the thing with NFTs is if they are able to link the Coinbase platform with NFTs, or you can hold NFTs on there and make it very easy where people can just send it into your ETH address. Now, I tell you what's really interesting is to think about all the ETH addresses that they're going to create is wallets, because every Coinbase address is unique. If you didn't know this, you can go to your ETH address and copy it, send it to somebody. They can send you something. On the Coinbase app, it would just be send you Ethereum, and that address would be good forever. Forever, someone can send to that address and it goes to your account. However, if you go into the app and you refresh it, it's going to give you a new address every single time. So every time it's a new address. So to think about all of the NFTs that Coinbase will actually be holding, because I'm sure they'll do it kind of the same way, I bet you won't have custody of your own NFTs on the platform.
That's a great point with the wallet thing. And I wouldn't be surprised if, say, a month or 2 months from now, we're going to see a huge sudden spike in Ethereum addresses, working addresses. And then, everyone's going to say, oh, look at the Ethereum user. It could just be Coinbase, in preparation for this event. Now, there's 400,000, active addresses, give or take, approaching, maybe even closer to 500,000. But Ben brings up a good point where the Coinbase is, I don't want to say, for lack of a better term, the newer buyers, the newbies, the noobs, if you really want to go that far. Now, Altcoin Daily, I know you have a lot of the fresher faces of crypto coming into your channel asking you these questions. Do you think that maybe the average Coinbase user is a little too noobish for NFTs? Or like the rest of us, do you think, they'll eventually just learn it and embrace it?
I think out of all the places, Coinbase, I agree with a lot of what Ben said. They're going to make it super user-friendly, and it's probably going to be the most user-friendly place there is to, buy, sell, and trade NFTs once they launch it for the time being. Because in addition to announcing that they were creating this OpenSea marketplace, or this NFT marketplace, which is more like an OpenSea and less like a Nifty gateway, is what they said. In addition to that, they also said they're basically making it like another like social app. And if you looked at the user interface screenshot that they provided with the coverage on their blog, it looks just like the user interface for Instagram, like almost exactly like it. And I was actually at, and I think because of everything we've been talking about, I think people are going to flock to this. It's inevitable. It's going to push the NFT market and just crypto even higher. I was out at a bar a couple weeks ago, and just one of the people that was like a friend of a friend, as soon as he found out that I was like into crypto, he started talking to me all about his NFT collection, and he wanted to show me the NFTs that he had. And what he had to do is he had to like open his MetaMask on his phone and then open his OpenSea on his phone, and it was a little bit of a process for him to show me. I mean, he knew what to do, but it took him like a minute or two. If he had, whoever makes it as easy as an Instagram to look at, which it seems like what Coinbase is doing, combined with their user friendliness, it's going to be so easy for people to like show off their NFTs in public on their phone like that. That's exciting.
Yeah, if you're minting NFTs, you know exactly what he's talking about. It's the browser on MetaMask mobile leaves a lot to be desired, just to say the least here. So on that note, Tom Crown, do you think we're going to get this massive second wave of NFT hype where, are we going to see a second wave of price spikes after people are saying it's too frothy, bubble's about to pop? Is the bubble just going to keep on growing here?
It's always a gamble with Coinbase, whether a listing is going to pump something or not. I'd say 50-50. But I can say, going to Ben's point, that personally, Altcoin and Bear and I were talking earlier, I'm sitting here with, I haven't minted any NFTs. I haven't really gone after them. And I'll say, even for me, them being on Coinbase, that ease is probably going to be enough for me to at least check it out a little more in depth. Not a huge fan of the whole MetaMask connecting, OpenSea. I mean, I obviously can do it, but I think that the simplicity that can provide, as Altcoin Daily story kind of highlighted, I think is going to be really valuable to new investors.
Yeah, and I think there's going to be a big wave here. So there's really not that many people using OpenSea. So I signed up for the Coinbase waiting list. There's a waiting list to get this Coinbase NFT marketplace. I signed up. I was over 600,000 for the number that have signed up. So already under 24 hours, over 600,000 people have signed up. That's already more than the OpenSea account. So we're already have eclipsed it. It's not even begun. These are the people, I wouldn't be surprised if that hits 2 million, 3 million, possibly even 5 million before the end of the month. Now, Arcane Bear, what do you think is going to be, bigger NFT marketplace, say 4 years from now? Do you think it's going to be Coinbase, or do you think it's going to be OpenSea?
I think to backstep a little bit here first before I go into that is one of the things that Coinbase is going to bring to the obvious forefront is the ease of using fiat capital to purchase an NFT that doesn't really currently exist out there. The complexity of opening MetaMask, attaching to OpenSea, going through the process of actually buying an NFT probably keeps a lot of people away from that process to begin with. Just feels like more hassle. They got to write down seed phrases. It's complex to show their NFTs off. But if you have an easy on-ramp for fiat, I think it's going to make it a clear winner for the time being. Now, the second point there that Altcoin Daily brought up around the social plus NFT space, I think OpenSea left a lot on the table here by not allowing comments or more interactive use cases of the platform itself. What you end up finding is most people on Twitter now have some sort of NFT as their profile picture. This social plus NFT platform space, I think, is going to be one of the next big drivers. Now, whether that's Coinbase or not, it's hard to say. They're a very well capitalized company. They have the backing and the network to make it a winner. I mean, we saw what Facebook did when Instagram had when they jacked stories from Snapchat effectively. So we know that the big players go out there and basically just hijack tech and put on their own platform and go, hey. But I think that the mix between the fiat on-ramp, that ease of use, and also, as you had said, 600,000 people signing up in 24 hours, it's definitely going to create an easier access, which is going to, I guess, help the market flourish. Now, who's going to be the winner? I'm not necessarily sure. I think that, as we've seen still with Snapchat, it's a very valuable company by itself just for that specific niche. And I think that OpenSea has curated enough in their specific niche around the way they launch 10,000 groups of NFTs, like with Dr. DMT's. I bought a Metasaur this morning I have no idea why, but just because it's fun. And I think that social plus aspect could make Coinbase a leader, but their lack of customer service, some of their lack of communications on the front end, it could put them at a disadvantage where from a social platform, you could still see OpenSea take up the gap by adding those social plus features.
Okay. So pretty good breakdown there with the fiat on ramp, and maybe with some of these social aspects, it's still in the air. But yeah, well, let's go to this second topic here. U.S. is becoming the king of Bitcoin mining. We knew it was China. China was reigning supreme when it came to Bitcoin mining. But Cambridge University, they scoured all the blocks. They scrubbed them blocks clean. They got all the data. They gleaned what they needed to grab. So they were able to determine that now United States is the leader of Bitcoin mining. China's obviously, basically just disappeared from it. If any mining's going on there, it's probably being done secretly or on purpose with very high level approval. So right now we're over a third. United States is doing 35% of all the Bitcoin mining. Second place, we have Kazakhstan, and then we have Russia. Now that United States is number one, Ben, do you see that, maybe politicians will maybe get behind it a little bit more because it could be framed as a U.S. versus China issue and maybe even a national defense type issue? Or, they still just going to FUD it because of the banks?
Yeah, China's not on the list. And China is on the list. You just read it. Kazakhstan. That is China. Yes, Kazakhstan is not in China, but that is where China commissioned a lot of their miners to move to. Okay.
Yep.
Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan, are they on the list?
They're lower. Next is Canada, followed by Ireland, Malaysia, Germany, then Iran, actually.
Guess what country has extreme influence on Canada? China.
Yeah.
Okay. They infiltrate their markets. They own half of Vancouver. There's plenty of other cities China's involved in. Do not make the mistake of thinking China is still not in control of mining, because they are. Guess where all the miners are manufactured? China. Okay.
Yep.
Kazakhstan is China. This is where they commission their miners to go. So where was Kazakhstan on the list before the Chinese news? Where they
it was probably non-existent.
It wasn't on the list. So that's important. That's important to note. And we also told you back when Elon Musk began tweeting about Bitcoin being environmentally unfriendly, that this was most likely a play for Tesla to get involved in Bitcoin mining and make Bitcoin mining in the United States more prevalent. We told you this was coming, and here it is. It's happening right now. Addition by subtraction in a lot of ways, because we took over a lot of the hash rate. Is China left it hanging out there, at least, on appearances. But,
okay.
I do think that this is going to become a really, really big industry going forward. I think the United States is going to play a bigger role. And look, the United States should play a bigger role. They should. I think it was 18%, maybe last year, somewhere around thereabouts. And China had, for all intents and purposes, China had, I think, 60%.
Yeah.
Maybe it wasn't actually that number, but they did most of the hash rate. The majority of the hash rate was in China, in one way or another, whether it was through a pool or through direct. That's not even taking into consideration their influence on the tangible mining side of things, the miners and the devices and the tech. So, for me, I think this is something we're going to see, get bigger and bigger in the United States. I don't know what the perfect number for us to have is. I would like to see us not have over 33%. Decentralization is important, but I am an American. I love America. I want us to be in control of most things if we can be in control of it. So, 35%, a little bit higher than I would like, but not a number that we, should be surprised at.
All right, well, let's talk about that environmental angle real quick. Arcane, we're going to bring it to you. You're basically the protagonist from Fern Gully. I'm kidding, of course. You're much taller. So, on this environmental angle, there's always this energy FUD. Do you see that now that America is number one and it's not China number one, that maybe some of these news articles start turning a little bit favorable? Do you see the narrative shifting of Bitcoin being bad for the environment now that America is leading the charge as far as mining goes?
Just as a kind of a side thought there, I never thought that the mining power that it took to run Bitcoin was ever really a problem. If we look at the to the traditional financial sector, and we think about how many planes, how many billions of dollars in fines, leaving the lights on in HSBC buildings around the world, the amount of infrastructure and concrete it took to build those, we are decades and decades behind power consumption, I think, in terms of the traditional fiat system. Now, they often compare it to the upper echelons of countries and completely ignore the amount of power it took to get the centralized Federal Reserve to print and give out the capital to its friends effectively. And I'm much more interested in the degradation of that system and the growth of this one. So I would much rather, even if it was coal power plants burning Bitcoin, I'm still a bigger fan of Bitcoin. Now, one of the things I like that Ben touched into is that I agree. I think that Tesla, they have like 7 GPUs running in their cars. They've got enormous amounts of electricity that they're generating. And solar, if you don't store it or use it, you often lose it. There's likely a large play for them in terms of carbon credits. I think that they're probably going to work with the United States government on some type of carbon credit play with Bitcoin. That's kind of my guess. Now, that's total speculation and conjecture. That I've seen nothing that says that. But based off the size of the Tesla, SpaceX, and Elon Musk now being one of the richest men on the planet, or the richest man on the planet by Forbes, I think that they're going to aim at some type of carbon credit play with Bitcoin. That would be my guess.
Yeah, no, I could definitely see that. I mean, he has such a bad taste in a lot of Bitcoin holders' mouths. Tesla, going back and forth with his tweets. That he's probably at this point, willing to do a little PR campaign, and if that means you can mine Bitcoin in your Tesla, he's probably game for it for sure. Now, when it comes to Kazakhstan and Russia, they're number 2, they're number 3. Now, Tom, do you see them being, a leader, quote unquote, in the Bitcoin space and the crypto space in general, since they are obtaining so many of the newly mined Bitcoins? Or is it kind of like what Ben said, where, that they may have the mining rigs, but, maybe it's not so much government sanctioned, or the powers that be might not be residing there?
Yeah, well, I will start with, I think this is one of the biggest mistakes China's made in the recent history is this pushing out of miners of crypto in general. And I really do hope that the US capitalizes on it. We're seeing it a little bit, but in general, like Ben said, we want a decentralized network. We want a network where every country is contributing to the mining. We don't want it located in one place, which is essentially what we saw up until the crackdown this year. I think it's added a lot of value and a lot of security. If China had 60% of the hash rate, no, they can't just necessarily control the network, because that isn't one person. That's thousands and thousands of different locations. You really aren't going to be able to get them to just all do the same thing, but it's healthy for the network. And the US, I think that this is our opportunity. This is the opportunity. We've seen the US kind of been lagging in the space. And as China gives up maybe the front running position, I hope to see a US pick up that slack. It would be, I think, one of the best decisions they can make for the future.
Well, let's talk about that U.S. Advantage that we might be able to take now that U.S. is in the leading space with 35%. They're receiving 35% of all the newly mined Bitcoin. Now, you would think on a long enough scale, it happens broadly enough that this is good for a country's economy. You just basically have citizens. Sometimes it won't be citizens, but you basically have Bitcoins coming into a certain country's ecosystem. Now, I know some people are going to have wallets, different locations, different citizenry, but let's just say, generally speaking, there's more Bitcoin coming into America than any other country. Now, Altcoin Daily, do you see that as being, still a really good asset or a really good advantage? Or is the mining rate, as it lowers, gets cut in half, we're about 3 years away, it'll get cut in half again 4 years later. Is that really not going to matter too much in the future because it's so few Bitcoin?
I think there's so many positives for China easing back on their influence and America taking a lot of the market share. I think over the next definitely few cycles, there's still going to be a lot of Bitcoin to be mined, and it's still going to be an asset that appreciates, hopefully, appreciates about 200% per year right now. I think it's an overall great thing for America. I think, we're seeing the culture change and America slowly becoming more Bitcoin and crypto friendly. And Americans should feel proud that there's Bitcoin being mined in their country, and, proud to be Bitcoiners or into crypto.
All right. Someone in chat, let's see. It was, oh my God, Bushy Muffins. Tom's background, fake or not? I swear to God, I didn't look at the name before I decided to read that. Tom's background, fake or nah? Tom, do you want to give an official statement on that?
It's real as you want it to be.
As real as you want it to be. Also, Das Giggler, does Ben ever drive 35 in the Lambo? I can say it just teleports going 80. So it's like a DeLorean. It's just he pops in. There's fire on the ground, and you can confirm that, right, Ben?
How is the Lambo? How's that?
Yeah.
going?
Oh, it's running pretty good. It's running nice. Yeah, we like it. So yeah, I was at the gym today, and of course I drive to the gym. Why would I not? I mean, to flex where I flex. I mean, that's the best you can get, really. So we're sitting there. TJ and I we're doing some legs or something like that. We're doing some kettlebell, sumo squats, and we're looking out the window. And there's a little girl in front of the Lambo and a guy taking pictures, like it's obviously her grandpa or dad maybe, or like, oh, it's cool. Like they're taking pictures of Lambo before, he comes into the gym and she goes to the childcare. Nope. It was just a guy that literally saw the Lambo from the road, pulled into the gym parking lot and went and took pictures with his daughter in front of the Lambo. So it's very strange what happens when you have a Lamborghini. A guy at the gas station the other day, he came up to me and he said, I trade stocks too.
I will say, like,
I'm into stocks because I have a Lambo.
We film everything's content here, and I've seen like basically 3 people crank the Lambo, and the first thing, all 3 were like, "Whoa!" So I mean, they're not
fun.
acting like it's. So they definitely get a kick out of it. All right, last topic. Tom Crown is the moment he's been waiting for. Who is using Litecoin? There's some very startling data out. They're saying there's more Litecoin transactions than Ethereum or there's more active Litecoin wallets than Ethereum wallets. Now, it was very shocking to me. It almost seemed like immediately I just went, oh, there's manipulation here. So Litecoin, it's flipping Ethereum and active wallets. Tom, you're the Litecoin guy here. Is this manipulation, or is this bots trading for arbitrage? Basically trying to get those little fractions of a percent just to make a little bit of money. Is this Charlie Lee's buddy from college, like running some fake scam in a closet somewhere? And what is going on here? How is Litecoin having more active wallets than Ethereum? What's your breakdown?
Litecoin just been number 2 in the space in my mind since it started 2000. Oh, no, wait. It's the 10-year anniversary. Happy 10 years, Litecoin, by the way. Big deal. Who's moving it? Where are they going? We have a decentralized network. We can't really say it's XYZ person. What's more important to me is the growth of fundamentals, decentralization. Litecoin kind of under the radar, pushing forward. They have Mimblewimble in the works here, looking to add privacy to Litecoin. Recently in September, actually, we even saw kind of a surprise even to me, and I don't know if many people have heard of it yet, OmniLite. And I think kind of the easiest way to describe that is it allows the creation of non-native tokens on LTC, offers some smart contract features. And what this really translates out to is Litecoin in the future can offer NFTs. We were just talking about NFTs earlier. It's what people really are watching. And it seems every advancement in this space, Litecoin is there with the development, pushing ahead and really acting almost as a test net for Bitcoin. It's my favorite. I'm so happy it's a topic.
Altcoin Daily. Have you met Charlie Lee? You've been in the space for a while.
No, I haven't met him.
Oh, okay. Well,
never met him.
You're aware. The narrative has been for years that Litecoin is the silver to Bitcoin's gold. Well, it keeps dropping places in market cap ranking. The market cap may go up, but it's just getting eclipsed by these other coins. Now, is that narrative dead? Is it more like the copper to Bitcoin's gold? Is it going to turn into dirt? Is it going to be a lump of coal later? But where is it? I mean, is that narrative dead? Is it no longer the silver to the gold?
I think it was never really the silver to the gold. I think that's a bad way to describe it. Now, that being said, I think that's one of the best narratives or the most bullish things Litecoin has going for it, that narrative. And still oftentimes, if you go on sites like SoFi or Kraken, or I think even PayPal, they'll describe it, as the Litecoin to Bitcoin's gold, or sorry, as the silver to Bitcoin's gold. And I think that narrative and the fact that it's kind of like a legacy coin, and when, companies add Bitcoin, they can easily add Litecoin because it's a clone. Because companies often add Litecoin just because they can, and it's a legacy coin, and the narrative it has going for it as silver to Bitcoin's gold, I think those two things are the most bullish things about it when it comes to retail considering whether or not to buy. Now it's no Dogecoin, but
Okay, if you had to describe it as an earthen metal or even a clay, what would you list it as? Is it silver to you? Is it is it copper? Is it iron?
it's hard to say, because do we need, silver was created because we need to be able to transact, because you can't transact, dust when it comes to gold. I'm talking about, back in the day as people were using this stuff. Now with, the Bitcoin Lightning Network growing and Dogecoin and, things like that, we don't really need a silver. So yeah,
No,
that's
that's a good point with fractionalization. You're saying it's just completely different. The gold silver narrative is just completely different. We can fractionalize a Bitcoin down to such a percentage of a penny that narrative. Okay, now Ben.
Also, I just want to say real quick that
Go ahead.
in addition to that, people don't really want to use crypto as a means of, everyday payment, spending it. I mean, it's fun in the bull market when Mark Cuban talks about Doge and the Mavericks accept it. But I think people have come to realize that because everybody's just looking at the space, the money coming in, these assets appreciate so fast, people don't want to spend it in general. So hope, the narrative silver to gold is a good thing if people think it's silver.
Now, Ben, when you saw this, more active wallets than Ethereum, did that seem fishy to you? Do you know anyone using Litecoin besides Tom Crown? Again, I'm sorry, Tom, we're throwing you under the bus.
They're all mine.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, the Litecoin community is very fierce with their belief in Litecoin, as Tom has demonstrated here. But what I would say is this: it sounds like to me that someone in the vicinity of Litecoin, the entity, whether it's a big fan or whether it's a developer, whether it's someone involved with the foundation, is literally going and opening wallets everywhere just to open them for the sake of getting the addresses up. No one would believe that there would be more active Litecoin wallets than Ethereum wallets. And so I think there's probably a missing piece of information here that we don't have. And it could be as simple as maybe there's an app out there that for some reason, maybe it's not even a crypto app, that you downloaded it and somehow it generates a Litecoin address. Maybe I'm trying to think of what that app. There was an app that used Litecoin. I can't remember what it was at one point, but you have to remember that Litecoin is going to have a lot of addresses because of PayPal, because every major, Venmo, every major payments provider that has put crypto, offers crypto for the most part, outside of like Cash App, they offer Bitcoin, Ethereum, Bitcoin Cash for whatever ungodly reason, and Litecoin as well. It stays in the club. It continues to stay in the club. Now, why is that? When you look at the top 10, for instance, and you look at Bitcoin, Ethereum, and then you look at Binance Coin, Cardano, XRP, Solana, Polkadot, and I'm not giving stable coins, of course, and Dogecoin. That's the top 10 outside of stable coins. And when you look at that and you say like, okay, well, what does Litecoin have that none of these other coins have? Outside of Dogecoin, all the rest of them are pretty new, 2017 and beyond. Of course, XRP is older than that, but it definitely, as we all know, has some issues right now with the lawsuit. You just see, like, regardless of whether or not, it stays in the top 10, it's a very trusted coin by big entities and big organizations. So I think there is something to that, but I would say that there's a piece of information missing that's causing all of these addresses to be generated, because there is no way that Litecoin should be able to touch Ethereum on wallets.
I agree. There's a saying, I don't know anything, but I know people, and because of that, I know everything. I don't know that many people using Litecoin, so I agree. Now, Arcane Bear, Litecoin is flipping, Ethereum's active wallets. Does this make you bullish for Litecoin? What are your thoughts on Litecoin?
Well, I get the only thoughts I have on Litecoin are previous thoughts back from 2017. I still have some. Part of my thesis there originally was that there was a group of what I called baby Bitcoins. They were spin-offs of Bitcoin effectively. And I thought the long-term value in things like Digibyte and Litecoin is that they had a lot of similar properties to Bitcoin. Now, one of the things that I do like about the aspect of Litecoin, or Digibyte, or Doge is that one of my favorite things about this sector is that you have the choice to use whatever you want. If you want to use Litecoin, you should be freely able to do so. And I think that ultimately this voluntary choice of financial system is what was the biggest seller to me. So I would tend to agree with you guys here that the number of addresses in Litecoin exploding seems a little fishy. Now, Tom did bring up a point back in 2017 when I was wandering around chatting with developers. They were talking about including smart contracts into the system. Now, one of the things that there was early on conversations like back in 2016 and 2017 for Bitcoin was the RISC, or RSK, which was a protocol that ran on top of Bitcoin layer that made Bitcoin a smart contract layer as well. And one of the reasons why that never got implemented is because I think a lot of people felt that it added more risk to what was already a perfectly functioning system. Taking a proof of work coin like Litecoin and integrating these new ideas here, I think is fundamentally positive, because the experimentation in the development in the tech world has always baffled me. Like, for instance, I did not see the DeFi space coming in 2017, yet it was clearly valuable to have these aspects attached to the base layer. Now, again, I would much rather have Bitcoin just do what it does as a tractor. It just goes forward, and that's all I really needed to do for my monetary layer. But in terms of the experimentation, adding smart contracts to a proof of work layer, I think that they're onto something here. But ultimately, the most important part for me was just that there's this freedom of choice. If you want to use Doge, you want to use Litecoin, whatever you want to use, I think that choice to me in this sector was ultimately always the most valuable. So the addresses seem spoofed, but at least there's voluntary choice within the financial ecosystem.
Well, I just actually kind of had a lightning bolt moment here. I do know with mining Doge, a lot of programs allow you to mine Doge and Litecoin. So this could just be like random mining things where, they're getting like $2 in Litecoin a day. And these are maybe there's a resurgence of active wallets. I'm not sure. It could be a mining thing. I don't know. I'm going to have to look into it. But the chat, some of y'all really like Litecoin. But then Mark says Blockbuster accepts Litecoin. And then one more, Helen Keller says, Litecoin is the JC Penney of crypto. Y'all are pretty funny sometimes. Now, last question here. Altcoin Daily, you have an older channel. Compared to 2018, just say an average month in 2018, were you doing, Litecoin videos back then? And compared to now, like, what is that number looking like? Are you still making Litecoin videos? Were you not making any back then? What is the difference between, your Litecoin content that you and your brother create?
I mean, there's just a huge difference. I mean, conversations in 2016, 2017, 2018, I remember, the debates between the Litecoin creator and Roger Ver and all that stuff. It used to be a big part of the conversation. Oh, people, people didn't think the Lightning Network would have legs. People were arguing, oh, people are going to be using Litecoin for everyday payments. People are going to be using Bcash for everyday payments. Little did they know, all they needed to do is put a picture of a dog on their coin, and then that would make people want to use it. But, obviously it has changed a lot, and it's cool to see the space grow. Like Arcane Bear mentioned, now it's all about, Bitcoin as a store of value and open source dApp platforms, NFTs, and DeFi on those.
Okay. All right. I like that. And Tom, you know what, man? I was going to give altcoin the last word, but tell us one reason why, here's why I like Litecoin. We'll go ahead and give you the last word here.
Sure. All right. Well, Litecoin, as I said, it's its 10th birthday. This has stood the test of time. The network has never gone down. It's included in anything you look at, any index, any kind of ETF talk, any big institution. They see Bitcoin, they see Litecoin as well. Ethereum is commonly added in there, probably equally as well. But it's safe, it's secure. There's passionate organic growth. It had the same origin story as Bitcoin. We said briefly kind of those baby Bitcoins popping up long ago. Most of those were pre-mined. They didn't have a fair launch. Litecoin had a fair launch. I really recommend you guys check out Charlie Lee's Twitter. His pinned post right now is a great story. It's a great story of the history of crypto, whether you like Litecoin or not. It's a great story, and I think it's information that really is valuable to everyone in this space of where we come from.
Yeah, I've actually checked it out. It is a good read. So, you know, all right, well, there's two sides to Litecoin, and that's what we like to do around the blockchain. We like to cover all the angles, but that is all we got time for today. It looks like Altcoin Daily edged it out from the Mr. Nature himself, not Ric Flair. We're talking about Arcane Bear, that is. Altcoin Daily, Mr. Hollywood, congrats on the award-winning movie last week. So go ahead, give us some parting thoughts. You got about 30 seconds. Go ahead, man.
Around the blockchain crew, it's an honor to be here. I'd like to say everybody go on and sub to Tom Crown on Arcane Bear, and definitely Altcoin Daily. Follow us on Twitter and YouTube. We're entering, in my opinion, the maturing stages of the latter half of a Bitcoin bull market, and that's the most fun. Let's do this, guys. Let's do this.
All right, and not your keys, not your Litecoin. That's all we got time for today. We'll be back tomorrow. Until then, BitSquad, easy out.